Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Azrai Nur Fikri Muhammad Mengkuat. My student ID is 20173988 and 747. I would like to thank both panel for taking the time to listen to my digitalized proposal presentation entitled The Comparative Effect of Pre-cooling and Per-cooling on Long Slow Distance Running Performance of a University Level athlete. This presentation will include some introduction to the topic, problem statement, research objective, and I will discuss the methodological section in depth that will cover research design, data collection protocol, sampling technique, instrumentation, and I will end the presentation with the data analysis technique. Let's begin with some introduction. Prefer and EPIS 2011 stated that the endurance exercise performance is impact in heat, which is 37 Celsius, compared to both moderate and cool condition. Long slow distance is a sport that was exposed with the heat condition. The rapid removal of heat from the body immediately prior to exercise is generally a stressful environment. It also known as pre-cooling. It is a popular strategy to use for combat the debilitating effect of heat stress-induced fatigue and enhanced exercise performance. Seegers et al. 2012 stated that pre-cooling by cold water immersion for 30 minutes at 24 Celsius increased running time to exhaustion. Per-cooling is the cooling during exercise and known as mid-exercise cooling. It also categorized as cooling method in exercise to increase the performance. Ansley et al. 2008 shows that pre-cooling by facial water spray elicits a 51% of improvement in cycling time to exhaustion at 75% of VO2max. Taylor et al. 2015 stated that pre-cooling and mid-cooling is an attempt to reduce the heat stress-induced fatigue and to increase the performance. Okay, next we proceed to the problem statement. To our knowledge, findings from a number of literature support shows that external pre-cooling methods using water, cold immersion, water and ice for reducing deep body or skin temperature to improve exercise performance. Also, previous studies shows that facial water spray elicit an improvement in cycling time to exertion. These response to pre-cooling and mid-cooling are likely related, but it is currently unclear which are specific to cooling the body as a whole versus facial surface. Both of the methods perform the experiment on laboratory due to the equipment requirement. However, what is less clear is the transferability of performance improvement seen with the use of practical pre-cooling and per-cooling strategies laboratory environment to the field. Okay, next, the objective. Recognizing this gap in research, there is a need for an investigation to look at the use of practical pre-cooling and per-cooling strategies in the field. Therefore, this study aims to examine the effect of pre-cooling on long slow distance performance in university athletes. Next, to examine the effect of per-cooling on long slow distance performance in university level athletes. And the last one is to compare the effect between pre-cooling and per-cooling on long slow distance performance in university level athletes. This study expects to benefit a number of stakeholders, including researchers, who can further study on advance for this experiment. A further understanding of the effect of between pre-cooling and per-cooling on long slow distance performance, it could become a strategy for coaches to identify the players and in order to improve their performance. Using this study, long slow distance athletes could better manage their training program by applying pre-cooling and per-cooling to improve their performance. Also, the physiotherapists may apply this technique for a recovery process. Okay, now we will proceed to the methodology part. Okay, research design for this study is quasi-experimental design, where I will conduct the experiment to identify the different effect of pre-cooling and per-cooling on long slow distance athlete running performance in university level athlete, based on Kirchhoff and Morgan's 1970 table for determining sample size for a given population of 270. A sample size of 155 is needed to represent a cross-section of the population. However, due to the several constraint factors such as lack of time and funding source, we aim to only recruit a total of 12 long slow distance runners using a purposive sampling method. This is the previous study that I refer from Christophe J. et al. 2015. Okay, now for the inclusion and exclusion for this study, the athlete will be screened for inclusion requirement, which is include the age between 18 to 25 years old, and next long slow distance runners, and then free from any injury, and the last one is participant must have completed a 5-kilometer running in the past 2 years. Okay, next we are going to the instrumentation of this study. Anthropometric index of pre-cooling and per-cooling. Pre-test. For the first one is pre-test, which is the participant must perform self-paced 5-kilometer running, and then they will perform 5-kilometer performance time trial performance on track. And then I will measure the duration of time taken by the athletes during the 5-kilometer running. This refers to the previous study, which is Steven et al. 2015, and the reliability of this of self-paced 5-kilometer is R equal to 0.82. After perform a pre-test, participant will perform post-test with the use of pre-cooling and per-cooling. However, pre-test and post-test will be performed on different days. Same goes to the pre-cooling and per-cooling post-exercise. And then pre-cooling session and per-cooling session will be performed on a different day, and there is a gap between that day, which is about 2 days for their recovery. Finally, I will collect the data of the participant. Okay, next we will proceed to the data collection procedure. Firstly, I will seek the authorities' permission to conduct the research, including the long slow distance runners and the coaches, to distribute the form consent. Next, I will seek the voluntary participation from long slow distance to explain further about the experiment that will be performed. After that, participants will be performed the test for pre-test, which is self-paced 5-kilometer running. Next, the participant will perform post-test with the implement of pre-cooling and per-cooling. Finally, I will collect the data of the participant to compare the effect of pre-cooling and per-cooling for long slow distance performance. Okay, for the data analysis, repeated measures will be used to measure the effect of pre-cooling and per-cooling on long slow distance performance. Also, dependent t-tests will be used to determine the different effect of pre-cooling and per-cooling on long slow distance athlete performance. And then, analysis of the data will be conducted using the IBM statistical package for social science, which is SPSS 35, with statistical significance will be accepted, which is at p lower than 0.05. Okay, there are all the list of reference for this presentation. That's all from me. Again, I would like to thank to both panels taking the time to listen to my Digitalize proposal presentation. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.